Welcome back to the Hip Hop Scholar Podcast, where we don't just listen to hip hop. We study its lineage, its meanings, its resistances, and its evolutions. Every episode is an excavation into identity, creativity, culture, and craft. And today we're going to go deeper. Today's guest is an artist with multiple dimensions, someone who doesn't just make the music, but builds sound from intention, engineers emotion into rhythm, and produces art with a scholar's attention to detail. I'm honored to be in conversation with Amir, known on the streets, on the streams, and in the studios as the Wiz Kelly. Producer first, artist second, and engineer third. A trio of roles that reveals something about how he approaches the work from the foundations up. He's been behind the boards and in the booth, crafting tracks, producing backdrops, and shaping songs that resonate because they feel lived in. On social platforms and in his release catalog, his fingerprints are everywhere. Tracks he's produced, features he's shown up on, and collaborations that reflect both versatility and vision. Some bodies of work you may already know, like the project Rima and Silk, where you can feel experimentation meeting purpose. And the artist not just making, but studying music as a language, a legacy, as well as a life force. And whether it's the raw energy of his own songs like Middle Love, where he produced and stands center in the creative command, or his production contribution to tracks, including multiple songs where his beats shape the architecture. You can hear in his sound a balance of grit and grace, precision and pulse. Now that balance, that synthesis is not accidental. It's reflective of someone who respects tradition but refuses stagnation. Someone who studies what's come before but isn't afraid to sound like tomorrow. That's the tension we're here to explore. Because this conversation isn't just about making hits. The conversation is about crafting purpose, about beat as a mind state, about word as world and culture as and consequence. Today we talk with Wiz Kelly, the artist engineer, the producer poet, the scholar of self and song. We're going to talk about lineage without nostalgia, creation without compromise, hip hop as inheritance, and hip hop as intention realized. So, Wiz Kelly, I want to welcome you to the Hip Hop Scholar Podcast.
Okay, I gotta give you a round of applause for that. You rap better than me.
All right. Oh, of course. Definitely do the research, and most importantly, giving flowers to those of the culture, the real artists that are out there that are really doing the work of hip hop and keeping that tradition going. So thankful to have you on the platform today, Wiz Kelly.
Likewise. I'm much obliged.
Absolutely. Okay, well, let's unpack this brilliance of yours. Let's begin with the very first question. When did you fall in love with hip hop? Talk to me.
When did I fall in love with hip hop? It's really like no defining moment I fell in love with hip hop per se. It was just music to me. Like, my very first favorite song, like when I became cognizant as a child, I think I was like 4 years old. And my dad first played My Philosophy by KRS-One. I just like gravitated towards the song. Like I just loved the song. I knew all the words, and I'm just 4 years old. And like I never had no defining moment where it was like, man, this is hip hop. I love it. I just kind of already grew up in it. It was just music to me, you know. Really, I don't know. I didn't have a moment. I was just kind of born in it.
That's right. When I said hip hop as inheritance, your father too, him being part of hip hop culture himself, Khalid Salam. He has groomed you to be part of the hip hop lineage, the legacy as royalty even. And so there is no moment without hip hop. Hip hop is what you were born into. When I spoke with Dr. Carson not too long ago, he was saying, asking me about when I fell in love with hip hop is like asking me when I knew I had blood going through my veins. Yeah. Like it's just something that's in you, right?
Yeah, it's just in me. Yeah.
That's awesome. Very awesome. So you were introduced at a very early age, which most of us are. Most hip hop heads knew about hip hop and rap and knowing lyrics and beats and such at a very young age. When did that become a realization for you that it wasn't just something that you enjoyed, it was something that you needed to do?
I would probably say probably after high school. I was heavy into basketball, and really I was really trying to work on going professional, probably going overseas, and walk onto a school. But there was a lot of things about that process that I went through that I just didn't really like. Like it was just, it's a very grueling process, and I always noticed like my results coming through music was always a lot way more well received. Like even when I was like 7 years old, I used to be in this class that was we had to like, it was basically like a beat making class. Like they would bring like a Grammy winning or like platinum or gold producer, and they would like essentially teach us this software that had to do with loops, and we would throw these loops together and just it would basically teach us producing. And I was already well endowed within it at that time, so like I was just already better than everybody, or just I wouldn't even just say better than, just very proficient. And I remember at the very end of the year, everybody got like a certificate for like who had the best beat, who this guy had the best rap beat, this girl had the best rock beat, this girl had the best pop beat. They just gave me a whole plaque because all my beats were just like crazy. So it was just like from then I always had like very very good rapport with just music in general. Just from the beginning. And after high school, once I had got injured, the first time ever getting injured, like having to get surgery. I had to get two surgeries on my left foot, and I had a lot of reflecting to do, on what I really wanted to do and what I felt like my purpose was in life. And I don't know, music really just took over. I feel like it wasn't even something that I really just was like, oh, I gotta do music. Like, I don't know, it just happened. It really just happened. A lot of the people that I was around, I gravitated towards a lot of artists, a lot of different musicians. I have my pops. I ended up producing an album for my pops. Is just it was just natural. Just like me falling in love with hip hop or just music in general, it was just natural. Like I breathed it, and I don't know. That was the time for it to come out. 18, 19. That's when I started taking it a lot more serious.
Okay. So again, this training of yours, having that expert analysis, still at a young age. You said seventh grade with that program, right?
No, I was 7 years old. I was
Seven.
like what, third grade.
Oh wow. Okay. Second, third grade. So 7 years old, earning a plaque by your expertise in the beat making. And so even then, and so going from basketball and then not even transitioning, but hip hop, the instinct of you just kind of took over essentially, where you were, dedicated to working at basketball. Unfortunately, you got hurt, but you were ready to go overseas. You were ready to walk on. You were ready to do everything to do with basketball. But hip hop actually became more like a superpower, or this sixth sense even that came about to take over for you in such an amazing way. I got you there. That's right. Yeah, and
Yeah.
thankfully you had that support as well, right? And then continuing on from there, please continue.
Yeah, the support system is what helped too. My mom is very supportive, uh, and like my dad believes the world in me, and I think that obviously my parents being able to cultivate, their child into doing what they want to do is what helped the most. I feel like very, 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 very blessed to have two figures in my life that were, that are supportive. I know like that is a very rare thing.
Very rare, and for them to see the rarity of what you have, sometimes as parents, and I have a son about your age as well, we want for them to walk into our lineage. And for even both of my sons, they both love hip hop. Like my oldest son and I especially, for his birthday, I took him to Kendrick Lamar last summer front row, and we were able to just have this bonding time together, and we share that of us. And that's what we want, is to, pass the torch. And I remember Khalid was talking about your mother being a photographer and capturing those moments and, being a part of that. And so that family part, and I told one of my guests that I've been binge watching Empire, right? So what you're saying is kind of like Empire, where you have the Cookie Lions, the Lucius Lions, that, the music is about the family, and then being Jamal with the singing and the keyboard, and then Hakeem with all those things, being able to rap and such, and then the oldest son, Andre, being the businessman. And so encompassing that, that fictional caricature of a hip-hop family, essentially that's what you all have. You have this empire, this royalty of what hip-hop is, and having that support, you are really utilizing that. It wasn't just a gift given to you. You're leveraging it to create amazingness, amazing stories by the beats without the words, but it's felt so much. And so let's talk about the technical side of it. How did learning about the technical side of music shape the way that you heard sound, silence, and space? Because you have trio roles where you can produce, you can rap, you can do all that, but with producing, how did that help for you to really finesse the sound, silence, and space when it comes to putting that music together?
The technical side of things, like, I would say, like, I didn't genuinely start understanding the technical side till I went to school for audio engineering, around 2019, 2020. I actually didn't even end up finishing. I didn't even get my certificate. I just all I needed was those 3 semesters to really just kind of figure it out. And because I was already well endowed with it, I was already introduced to it with my pops. I knew how to use Pro Tools and know how to use, the software that I use now called Machine. It's where I sample and make all my beats off of. So I was already and I already had friends that knew certain softwares. I knew all of the softwares just a little bit before even going into school. So, but going to school really just took it to a whole level, because I genuinely just understand what I'm doing. When I look at a compressor or look at an EQ or look at certain plugins and stuff like that to change the sound, to manipulate the sound, I actually know what I'm doing instead of just turning knobs and waiting for it to sound good. That's really what just took it to a whole new level. Now I can literally just do anything. I can any soundscape I want. 2 years ago, one of my colleagues, Vegas 7 the Ronin, I work with him a lot. He wanted me to mix his album called not Cyber Runner. How am I blanking on the name? Cyber Runner.
Okay.
And the concept of it was a dystopian robotic AI future where people got half arms and robotic limbs, and it's very the whole world is taken over by corporate America, kind of almost where we might be headed. But album was about that, and he wanted me to make the whole soundscape. I got technological sounds and transitions and robot noises and flying car sounds and all type of stuff like that. I would have never knew how to do that if I didn't have to go to school. I maybe would have learned it eventually, but it's a heck of a learning curve. It's easy, but it's very tedious.
I mean, for you, it's easy, right? I mean, to sit there and talk about what you hear and explain it, that's a very challenging thing. That's that brilliance of being able to, place things that you see in your brain and then produce it into a sound. That is a very top tier way of thinking. And dystopian literature, dystopian genre is my absolute favorite genre, because like you say, the environment itself is failing everywhere in every way, but the protagonist is winning. And I'm sure with that song and putting that music together, it has that same mantra of being able to have the confidence and the drive for success, despite, half arms and, the newness of everything, with the technological advances and, essentially kind of like the reality that we're facing against AI and the unknowns of changes and all the things that are happening now. So it's real interesting to hear, especially about how, you just needed a few courses, just a few directions, not the full degree, not the full certification. And, the school system, has its benefits, yet it's not just about completion. It's that process of learning, which is what you did. You captured what you needed and were able to leverage that as well. Right. And it's like we say, some meetings could be an email. I shouldn't have to sit in a whole meeting when you could have put that in a straight email, and I got it. And that's essentially what you're talking about in such a way. And I want to let you know, Wiz Kelly, everybody can't think that way. Everybody cannot, not even for the slightest. You are a very rare breed when it comes to creating music. And I love having conversation with producers because I challenge you all to try to put into words things you just instinctually do. You use the tools, you use your mind, and you are listening and placing these different sounds and touches and spaces and making something amazing. It's really magic. It truly is magic.
Yeah, that's what it feels like a lot of times. Once I I produce a whole album or finally put it all together, it I don't know, it just feels like it came together naturally. A lot of times it feels like a Rubik's Cube, like I'm making a Rubik's Cube and I'm just trying to flip it and turn it and do all this until it's finally right. Like a lot of people tell me that my style reminds them of splatter art.
Oh,
Like
how beautiful.
I'm just throwing a lot of stuff at the canvas, and you don't really see anything. It just looks like a bunch of crap, and you just see me doing this, and I turn it to the side, and it's a whole mountain and valleys and trees and a detailed picture of a whole bunch of stuff. That's literally how I approach it. Like I don't really put too much thought into it anymore. Like I used to put a lot of thought into it, but now it's just kind of like, I don't know. It's splatter art. Blue, purple, orange, some smearing, turn it to the right, and we done. That's
That's
just how
that
I approach everything now.
that abstract art, right? That is very nuanced type of placing art together where you don't have the frame, you don't have the coloring in dots or numbers to follow, but creating this from scratch. And my father would say, seeing constellations and stars, like you are actually seeing into different atmospheres and placing that on the page. And in your case, the sound put that together. So it's very intricately placed together. And I want to give you your flowers for that, because I remember your father when he was saying how impressed he was with you about like, how did he put that together? And he would ask you about different things and such. And he spoke very highly about your ability and your talents when it comes to putting the music. And I hope that you understand that mastery that you have too, is that putting that together and doing so, producers really have an understated role and really, edify what it means to put this music together. Hip hop is definitely a collaborative experience where we have to have, the lyrics, of course, but the tracks really place together that oomph in the triumph in the putting the music together. And so being able to speak to producers and you kind of unlocking, and that inductive versus deductive reasoning of how you put it together, I want for you to know that it is amazing. That is not really a word that I can really put together. It's phenomenal by how you do that. Know that for sure.
No, much appreciated, man. It's a lot of work over the years put into it to, figure it out.
And so as you do that, when
I'm
listeners, yeah, and as you do that, when listeners
Go ahead,
hear
my
your
bad. No,
music,
you good, you good.
yeah, it might lag a little bit depending on that. Yeah, it's okay. We're good. I hear you, you hear me. And so with this next question, I definitely got to hear from you that when you do put the music together, when your listeners finally hear the music, what do you hope they feel first before they even process the lyrics? Like when you put those tracks together, what do you want the listener to feel?
Uh, Usually, whatever the concept of the album is, or whatever, whatever the theme I got, that's usually what I want them to feel. I had an album called Natural Selection, and I wanted it to feel like you were listening to Animal Kingdom, like just an over hyperbolized version of like Animal Kingdom. You hearing jungle sounds, you hearing monkeys, you hearing elephants, you hearing all this. First thing I wanted them to feel like they was in the jungle, So I started out jungle noises. Even like when I got Rima, Rima wasn't really a deep concept. It was just my middle name backwards, and I wanted to just make kind of something that sounds like me. So I used my boys Chalon's production and just kind of rapped over it. And what I wanted people to feel, I said Rima a million times. Like nobody's ever kind of really seen that word before. So I just kind of wanted to drill in that that's the name of the album, Rima, 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 Rima. That's what I wanted people to feel. I just wanted people to, by the end of the album, they just kind of know, they have a concept of what Rima is. I produced the album for my boy. Probably one of my favorite things I produced for my boy Kamal, one of my favorite artists I work with. It's like one of my best friends. I produced his album, My Crazy Mind. I wanted by the end of that album, the only thing for people to say was, yo, that was crazy. Like, just simple. Now, every time someone walks up to me, or anytime someone ever heard the album, the only thing that they tell me is that, yo, the album is crazy. I had the word crazy on the album. It's like it's kind of like I like to program people musically in a way, like the elites and the government kind of like the MK Ultra people through music and all that stuff. I kind of like I like to do it myself, like my own propaganda for people. Like I kind of it's like what's the word? Almost like hypnotizing or something. Like I like people to feel whatever the album is. Silk, I had them say Silk a bunch of times. A bunch of movies bunch of clips from the Cornbread Earl and Me movie. Like I just want people to completely and utterly feel the concept of whatever the album is.
Oh, that's amazing. You're coding their brains. Like you code a computer, you're coding their brains and teaching people how you want them to hear you. And that's wonderfully stated, that propaganda, right? And wanting them to know, man, yeah, it was crazy. What's the definition of crazy? What kind of define craziness? And then being able to unpack those layers with the listeners, with art, which is what music, especially hip hop and the tracks, with art, it all is a becoming of the viewer or the listener in this case. And so to get that feedback, I'm so glad that you do gain the feedback. And shout out to Kamal with the ideas, with the crazy world. And then you go as a servant leader, right? You're leading him with the beat. He made the artist may give you the concept, right? And so you're leading them with that, but you're serving them where, okay, I got you. This is my thematic alignment. Where, if I got a jungle beat, you want a jungle beat, here you go. And then the nuances of it, plus the craziness of it, that's a great example and explanation that you gave, Wiz Kelly, of what servant leadership is, where you're serving the artists, but you are also giving the lead of what that track is going to feel like, what it's going to sound like. And so with that, let me ask this question now that it's popped up. Like, for example, with your bestie Kamal, did he show you the lyrics first? Did he rap it to you and then you put the music together? Or did you just put a beat together and then he rapped on it or wrote from there? Which was first?
To be honest, like let's see, when we made that album, it really only took us like 5-6 months to make that album. It was pretty crazy. Like we just kind of like really locked in. But he had the concept of the album like already, like around 2018. He told me that he was going to make an album called My Crazy Mind, and I was helping him produce it. But he also had like a bunch of other people's beats on there. And when he told me My Crazy Mind, like a lot of my albums, I kind of foresee them before they're ever finished. It was like I know exactly kind of what I would want to hear, and then by the end of the album, I'll be like, oh man, that was it. That was literally exactly what I went for. And it's almost like it's like just a natural. I don't even do it on purpose, but he told me the concept, and like I was kind of sending him beats for it like a while back, but but he was also working on another album, so he wasn't as locked in to the album yet. And once he finally released his other album, he kind of locked back onto the My Crazy Mind. And I kind of told him, I was like, yo, like, we should probably keep it my production because it's going to mess with the continuity of the album. No disrespect to nobody else's beats or anything, but I already just kind of got an idea how it sounds. I know him, that's my dog. I know just kind of what he likes. I know his personality. And that goes a long way as a producer, knowing a person's personality, how they walk, how they talk, the type of stuff they watch, the type of food they eat. It's just literally all their whole mechanisms of how they just work as a person. That is like very important to me as a producer. Like I got to at least talk to you, see what kind of videos you get on your algorithm, what type of stuff you laugh at. And if I know that, the more I get of that, the better I can really produce for you. And I don't know, we just kind of locked in, and it didn't really. I wouldn't say he showed me any lyrics. It was just like I just showed him the beats that I had beats laying around. He rapped on those, and then those beats that he already rapped on, I just continued to produce around that, and then it just ended up working.
Man,
I feel like that whole album specifically came together so natural. That's why it's one of my favorite things I produced so far, because it came so natural. Like a lot of people will ask us, like, the album sounds so deep, especially lyrically. It sounds so deep, but if you've seen how we created it, we made that whole album off of just inside jokes, us laughing at some video or something hilarious, and then we just make a song. I find some type of sample about it, and then I maybe make a song out of it, and I don't know, it just came together so naturally.
That's so cool to hear. I'm gonna have to listen to that again. When you were talking, it gave a new meaning to putting out a hit. Right? This was a hit song, but like whenever somebody puts a hit out on somebody, you got to study the person. You got to know all these things about them so that you can get to the asset. You know what I'm talking about? Like in spy movies, you got to know every little intricate detail of them so that you can, capture the asset for the business or whoever is trying to get to them. And it just like, man, that puts another perspective to putting out a hit. Like that analogy just fit there. Like that was amazing how you explained that. And yeah, put out a hit on somebody, knowing what they eat, what they sleep, how they think, and putting that together naturally, organically, even. In a world where we have algorithms and we have AI and we have those things, and it seems more like for you, you're more hands-on, you're more even neurodivergent a bit, where you have this empathic feeling, and you listen and you hear what they're saying and then try to understand. Plus, having the end in mind. You already put together a goal at the end. I wonder how this world of social media and digital, have you've been able to navigate through that, even though you're an organic type placing music together? How are you leveraging this digital age and these algorithms and social media? Does it even matter to you when it comes to putting that music and meeting your artists and such?
I compensate for it. I'm a fellow ADHD person who, even with the algorithms and TikTok and stuff, I'm gonna be honest, like, yo, it's been cooking my attention span. Like, I gotta take a break from my phone. Like, I really do. But like, even as an artist, as a producer, I compensate for that. I know that my attention span is short. So that's why kind of like I put things how I put together. That's why all my songs, when you hear like a sample loop, it's never just a loop. It kind of goes through all throughout the song. Like you got different sounds, you got beat switches, you got certain songs that might have 3 different beats. That's just me. It's very ADD, ADHD. I know a lot of people can't focus. I know a lot of people this day and age, it's hard. It's hard to keep focused. Like it literally is. There's so many things in life that's meant to take our focus away. We got Jim Carrey looking weird and all type, the Palestine-Israel conflict, the Epstein files coming out, and our president's a weirdo, and you know what I'm saying? It's just so much crap. It's so much crap, I try to at least let people have fun, like at least listening to my shit. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's so much crap
Mm-hmm.
to think about. It's so much crap to think about. You know, I see a lot. I always see a lot of people like, "Yo, let's bring bridges back and let's bring 5 minute song backs and three verses." And I'm like, it's as a hip hop head and a music head, I can agree, but that's not the world that we live in anymore. We're not people don't have fun in the club anymore to where we need to make a 6 minute song with a dance section in the back, or you know, like it's just like it's the life is so much faster to where it's like that's not really gonna serve a lot of people. Like
Mm-hmm.
I think we need to slow down as humans, but at the same time, I try to compensate towards the algorithms and stuff like that. Like I try to keep everything small, concise, and compact. I don't really make my albums too long. You know, really 30 to 40 minutes, and I try to you know just give everybody short jabs, short haymakers. I'm not trying to like keep you here and tell you tell you my life story all yet. You know what I'm saying? I don't feel like I'm at that point yet to where it's just like, yo, like, here's my whole big discography and I'm gonna show y'all everything that I can do and I'm gonna make this big 5 minute song just to show y'all I'm superior at music. Like, nah, just I don't know. I just like I compensate towards myself because I know how I am and I don't these days I'm not trying to hear a 10 minute song, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Like 3 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, get in, get out.
Right. Yeah, and for the most part, enough like for TikTok. Like a lot of songs are being shortened for like TikTok dances, for reels
Hmm.
even. When you were speaking, it made me think about on Kanye West. He has this song called "Last Call," where he's
Hmm.
him and Jay Z laughing at the beginning in the booth, and then he goes into the rhythm and rhymes, and then at the very end he's speaking. Right, it's about a 12,
Hmm.
13 minute track, and
Hmm.
that song was about at least 20 years old, right?
Hmm.
And so this day and age, very few, especially in the younger generation, have actually sat to listen to that full song because, like you said, attention spans have drastically changed. Like you
Hmm.
have to give a snippet, you have to be able to capture the audience, and you have to keep that in mind, right? You
Hmm.
do for yourself, and as a servant leader as yourself, you do for the artist, but also making certain that it's heard. The audience has
Hmm.
to be able to take it in that short amount of time because that's what the times are telling us. That's good
Yeah.
business to think about
Life
the
is just
consumer.
it's
Hmm.
so fast. I feel like a lot of people like, you know, a lot of people who are very artistic don't understand kind of like the reality of a lot of things. Like, yes, you're very artistic and we want to hear your artistic expression, but I still think you have to put it in a way to that's kind of certainly palatable for the human ear. Like, you know, like Kanye can do that. You know, if somebody doesn't really know you yet and you're not really known yet, there's no point to, you know, doing that whole spiel. Like if Kanye do that right now, there's people who will listen to that. If Kendrick wants to make a 12-minute song, there's millions of people on the earth that will literally sit down for that 12-minute song and listen to every word and dissect it and put it on Genius and doing all that type of stuff. Like,
Hmm. Hmm.
but at least I just know for me, you know, and us Gen Zers, our attention spans are pretty cooked. Our attention spans pretty cooked. So I got at least I gotta put it. Even the way that I rap is very energetic, and you don't really know what's coming next.
Hmm.
You know, so
Hmm.
I don't know. That's just I feel like that's just the way I carry myself, and I can just kind of understand. Um, what's the word? I understand the market. I understand the market.
Right, right. Well said. I appreciate that. That specifics to the current generation, right? Gen Z being a more prominent generation now that you have to target, for consumption and for sharing that out. I wonder though, as you were saying that, which absolutely is true, right? A lot of what you say has to be true. So in the hip hop domain, what are some things that we have been able to keep, and what are some things do you think that we've lost because of the attention span being cooked, and because of the timing of how the algorithms showcase different things,
Hmm.
and just the time frame, the very short time frame that's given to capture the attention of others. So what has hip hop gained in that? And then what are things you think that hip hop has lost?
Uh, I think a lot of things that hip hop has gained is more susceptible for larger audiences now. Like I'm a huge Rock Marciano fan. I've been a huge fan of him since I was like eighth grade, and seeing that people listen to him now is like what? Like it's crazy to me because it's just like I people weren't susceptible, especially people in my age group were not susceptible to like hearing that. I put them on, and they're like, "Yo, who is this?" It's like it took like a certain type of person to be able to listen to that. And now with like the surgence of like Griselda and a lot of younger cats and stuff, like people listen to that stuff now. It's cool. Like even Tyler the Creator even kind of opens people with ears to that stuff. Like, but I think like we have like it's like a double-edged sword with like it's like a lot more attention towards rap music, but the TikTok side of things is not like the good side. Like you'll have people, even like you'll hear a lot of like right-wing people or people who just don't really understand the what it takes to make good rap music.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them just won't really understand. Like they'll just classify it as it's ratchet. It's all about drugs. It's all about defying women, and they don't really they'll ignore like the Kendrick or the Cole or or the Me's or my Pops or the Jigs or all types of amazing art. So I think it diluted our art a lot. The algorithms of TikTok by design, it dilutes a lot of our art. And you can even go to a label. If a lot of people who are signed to a label, instead of like you're the label, you have all the money, you have all the promo, you have everything. You know what I'm saying? Y'all run the jails, y'all know everything. So I'm like, I don't see why they have to make an artist do TikToks and stuff. Like y'all have the algorithm already, y'all have the whole formula, but like you'll sign to a $1 million deal and they're making you stand in front of the camera and dance like everybody else. And I like everything just gets diluted. The art gets diluted. The hype for things gets diluted. Like a million snippets of an album. You almost heard the album before it came out.
Mm-hmm.
People's album get leaked, all type of stuff. But at the same time, discoverability. I probably would have never found. I just tapped in with an artist today. I don't even know where he's from yet. I haven't. He probably ain't hit me back in the DM, but I can just find random people that I never ever would have been able to find. Like, never. I probably would have never got to know most of the people that I've produced for and worked with if it wasn't, for me finding them in the algorithm. Me, I don't know, just randomly hearing their song. Me being able to even contact them on social media and mend a relationship and stuff like that. Like, it opens our ears. It opens our ears up in a good and a bad way. Like, a lot of people are susceptible to our culture who shouldn't really be susceptible to it. Like, if you don't really understand it or appreciate it or understand the nuances that it takes to make our music, then I don't really feel like you should be in it. Like, a lot of culture vultures, and fans are culture vultures too. They're the worst. They're the worst. I hate fans. Like, I don't know. I'm a fan of music. Like, even if my favorite artist drops something trash, I'm gonna be like, yo, that was trash, bro. I gotta hold them accountable. A lot of people don't hold their artists accountable. NBA YoungBoy or something could drop like the worst song ever, and his fans just don't care. They're not gonna hold him accountable. They'll be like, "No, this is the best thing ever." And I feel like it's just a double-edged sword with social media. Like, we have so many people. Side note, I'm sorry, I don't be finishing my sentences sometimes.
It's
ADD.
okay. It's okay.
But a lot of people, I always heard growing up, oh man, hip hop's dying, hip hop dead, this, that, and the third. And I never had that issue. I never felt like I was ever listening to, like, I never had like a shortage of artists to listen to. You know what I'm saying? I never had like it never hip hop never felt like it was dying to me, because I always found the music. I was listening to Sky Zoo and Talib Kweli and Sean Price and all type of stuff as a kid, and like maybe when and that's when Soulja Boy and Snap Music and Future and all that out, and it was never no shortage of dope rap music to me. Like it's so much music in the underground that all you got to do is literally you don't even got to search for it. You just kind of got to care and look, like it's right there. Like a lot of it's right it be right there in everybody's faces, but then like they be like, oh man, the game is so whack now. It's nobody rapping, it's nobody telling stories, it's nobody making good beats. That's why I hate when people like Andre 3000 or like Ghostface or somebody would say, no disrespect, but I hate when the OGs say dumb shit like that, because I'm like, dude, you like disrespecting the whole underground, the same type of underground you came from when you wasn't on yet. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like that's stupid. Like, if before you was on and Rakim saying like, ah man, rap game ain't on shit. And I'm just like, well, nigga, we got a whole group. How would Wu Tang feel if nigga said some shit like that? And I just feel like it's like mad dumb. Like you're looking at one side of just members. We go back to that one side thing about TikTok. Like, you look at the TikTok side of music, and now it's just like, oh man, everything is TikTok. Everybody twerking, everybody doing dances. Ain't nobody dancing. I'm just like, bro, that's not true, bro. It's like a whole galaxy universe of dope artists that y'all just not really, y'all be lazy.
And I appreciate that critique, because that's what is being shown and that's what you see. To add to that, to what, like you said, what Andre 3000 said about new music, I remember hearing what Lil Russell had said about Lil Wayne. Like Lil Russell was like, he doesn't like Lil Wayne because Lil Wayne doesn't rap about anything. He's not saying anything in his raps. And it's like, well, at the same token, and me being a Louisiana born and raised native, I also have to look at, the respect to the game that Wayne has made a career off of his lyrics. And if you feel as if he hasn't said anything, can you respect the fact that he's made a full blown career, has several dozen mixtapes that comes to that, but also that accountability piece that comes with that too, like you stated, holding artists accountable of what they produce and what they create. That definitely boils down to that authenticity of what you produce and what you create and for whom you are making this for. Are you making it for the likes? Are you making it for the TikTok? Or are you making it for self? And hearing you talk, Wiz Kelly, you are just what I tell my students. I tell my students as an English professor that whenever you create your ideas, whenever you state anything in an essay, the applause is just extra. You have to be so confident in what you've created that if anybody decides not to give you a clap or snaps to that, it never matters. None of that matters. And you have to be so authentic in that. And so you gave such great examples and critique, and I want you to stand on that. And I want to also add for you to talk to us, how can people be authentic in hip hop, especially in this day and era where people are mimicking and mirroring and doing these duets, but at the same token, talk to us on how to stay authentic in a world that doesn't celebrate authenticity.
You gotta have a carefree spirit, man. Like if you care too much, it ain't for you. I can't lie, like because it's hard. Like it's a lot of times you can get discouraged because it's just like, yo, I sound like this, and a lot of times I have my moments where I can get discouraged because I don't have a clear cut lane for myself. It's a lane that I got to carve for myself. You know what I'm saying? It's not like it's no lane to where I can just be like, oh, I can just go sit in that lane real quick and just run it up. I feel like everything about me is kind of different. I look a little different. I rap a little different. My beats are a little different. So I just feel like it's not really a full lane for me to just go into. And I'm like hella good at a bunch of different multitude of things. So it's no clear cut box for me. But I feel like the main thing that keeps my resolve is the confidence and the trust in my work. You got to trust your work. Just like even when I was in basketball, I was being my trainer my trainer, Bo Bell, one of the greatest trainers like ever, bro. He's so awesome. I will always shout him out. Shout out Bo Bell, man. But
Okay.
he always told me trust your work, man. Trust your work. You know, how many hours you put in the lab, how many hours you done put in drawing, how many hours you spend cutting hair, designing clothes, whatever. You gotta trust your work. If you don't trust your work, then what you doing it for? You know.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
uh, yeah, trust your fucking work. That's it. Trust your work, man. That's really the most advice I can give you. Um, Being different, not everybody's cut to be different. Some people, there's a lane for certain people. Um, you know, it's hard. It's hard. It's really hard being different. A lot of people won't understand your shit. A lot of people won't understand what you got going on until it take off. That staying down is one of the hardest parts. It's something you gotta just really be built for. A lot of people like even coming up in school. I used to play kind of different video games, watch different shows, read different books, wear different shit. People be like, "Oh, you always trying to be different." And I was just like, I mean, you just take out the word trying. I'm not trying. That's just what I do. Like, I just kind of like, it's just what I do. I feel like it's people that's made to do different shit. People that's made to do different shit. It's people that's supposed to work at McDonald's, Old Navy. It's people that's supposed to, be sanitation guys. And then you got people that's like Prince that are just different and they're supposed to do music shit. You could be the greatest garbage man of all time. And then there's people that are the greatest rappers of all time. It's just, people do different shit. You just got to figure out your niche. That's really all it is.
That's right. That's that. It's a term called esoteric, where you have a highly developed skill in a specific, small, localized, technique, right? And that's
Hmm.
exactly what you're defining. Is finding your lane and being the best in that lane and having success in that as well. You don't have to play basketball. I played basketball as well. But again, something else came about for me not to become one of the greatest, and that's okay. I'll celebrate anybody that does what they do and to be who you are as I am who I am. And I feel that people can't appreciate people being different because they have something wrong with themselves. They project that less than feeling on others because that's how they feel when I'm going to be me. I'm going to do me. And, that's the beauty of it. And I really, really appreciate it when you talked about bringing in the underground music. That's
Hmm.
something that is such a lost art of listening to the underground because people are more so, top 10, whatever the radio's playing or whatever Spotify puts into the algorithm, but
I hate
conducting your
mainstream music.
research. Talk to me. Talk to me.
It's so hard. Like, I don't know. I don't hate mainstream music. Like, it's a lot of mainstream music coming up that I just like grew up on. But once you understand the machine and what the machine tries to pump out and how much bullshit that it tries to dilute within our art, specifically, it dilutes other shit, pop music, country music, all that, which is still comes from our art. But like the machine just fucks up so much to where I just can't really. It's so hard to take for me to take a lot of mainstream shit serious because I just feel like they don't. A lot of them don't really love it no more. They fell out of love with it. The hunger ain't there. The attentiveness ain't really there. It's a machine. It's the money. It's a money grab. That's why it's like, yo, I don't care where my notoriety will ever get. I will never not be tapped into the underground. It's the source. It'll forever be the source.
There you go.
People, everybody started in the underground, unless you were industry plant. And even then, even if you were industry plant, you still started in the underground at one point. So, you know, I don't know. Mainstream shit is weird, especially at this point in life. Like, two biggest artists. We've seen the two biggest artists have probably like one of the weirdest beefs. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know. Everything's weird, man. No, everything coming out with, like I said, the files and Diddy parties, and I don't understand why people even still pay attention to these niggas. I can't lie. It don't really. I don't know. I feel like people are just kind of still stuck. They're kind of still stuck with that, like how it was in like the '90s and the early 2000s, where we had some good propaganda back then, man. We had some the movies were like movies, like it was propaganda, but you ain't know it. Now they just got it in your face, like I don't know. It's hard to take the shit serious. Like I heard an NBA YoungBoy song where I heard an NBA YoungBoy song where the hook was he said sex and violence like 4 different times, sex and violence, sex and violence, sex and violence, and then in the verse, dude gonna say I don't know what Trump doing, but I know it's good for the kids. Like that's just blatant propaganda. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't even hide it no more. I'm not listening to that shit. I'm not letting my kid hear that shit.
Yeah. And
Uh,
people dancing to it, putting music together, not even hearing what's being said.
That's the propaganda I was talking about. That's why I kind of make what I make. I try to mix the medicine with the food. So it's like I try to yeah I'm trying to MK Ultra people, but in a good way. No disrespect because MK Ultra was very messed up, but you know, in hypnotizing people in a way. That's what music pretty much does. You know what I'm saying? A young boy that makes kids aggressive. He got some stuff is fire, bro. But like it's not for kids, and the fact that they make it, they try to gear it towards kids. I worked with fourth graders, and you teach, so I worked with fourth graders. I was in like a focus group of students. I worked in Memphis, and I just seen all this firsthand of just like how bad it is. Like I remember as a third grader, his name was Mauricio. He came into our room singing "Take the Race" word by word, like in most vulgar lyrics, word by word, and he can't even read. We still helping him with his reading, and like a lot of the kids they know King Von word for word, Young Boy word for word, Sexy Red word for word. Go back to the TikTok shit, word for word, and they can't even read, and that's on the parents. I'm not gonna be. I don't plan on being no parent that's gonna be like, yo, you can't hear this, you can't listen to it. But it's like I'm not gonna be like encouraging them to. Like I'm watching what they're listening to, man. It's a lot of stuff now more than ever. They are trying to infect your children more than any era that I've ever seen in my entire existence. In my past, probably in my past life, I ain't seen no shit like this. Like it's just like children are truly an oppressed group of people. And it's just like it's so weird how I remember they had like Sexy Red. I think Sexy Red is fire for what she does. She's fire. But like I remember they had her going to a high school. That her label had her going to a high school, and the high school wouldn't let her in because like I think she smelled like weed, and it's just like yo. Even then, regardless of that, why are we bringing Sexy Red in high school? Like, that's terrible. Why would we do that? You wouldn't do that. Like no other type of school would do that. No other type of culture would try to do that. And I don't think we would even do that to ourselves. We understand what the labels be trying to push.
Right. That's right. I want to add to what you said because when I first got into education, I was a fourth grade writing teacher as well. And I distinctly remember it was this young lady. This was back in the early 2000s. It was this young student, and she was singing the song Busybody. And I was so upset. And we had my team teachers, we called her dad, and was like, hey, you need to come up here and talk to your daughter because this is not okay. And so the dad and his girlfriend came up there and they were more upset at us. Like, y'all need to focus on y'all job. Why ain't y'all teaching? I'm like, because we are teaching. The fact that your daughter thinks that she's comfortable enough to not only sing about this song, but write about this song about being a busybody, you need to be aware of this because this is not okay for a 9-year-old to not only know these lyrics, but then it was other things happening as well. And so I'm right there with you. And to hear that, even 20, 30 years again, we have to educate our children when it comes to the lyrics that they are absorbing. They're not just hearing this and, snapping their fingers. They are absorbing this. The propaganda is to change minds and to have them into a mindset. And so again, that's this platform use, is to talk to real artists like yourself, Wiz Kelly, and unpack this, because my goal is to create curriculum. How can we emphasize identity through hip hop? How can we make belonging by having authenticity of self? It all begins with self first. And so with this last question, I got one more question, and I absolutely have to talk with you again another time. How can we make that change? Right? You talked a lot about, some real shit though. You really gave some real knowledge there, Wiz. I want to say that too. And so for that last word, I want to word this correctly. Let's talk about you for this last question. This success. What is the overarching goal of success when it comes to Wiz Kelly? 50 years, 100 years down the line, when they hear a track or they hear a beat or they hear some lyrics from Wiz Kelly, what is that lasting legacy that you want to leave, that will be a sign of success for you?
I just want to inspire, man. Like that's like my whole goal. Like everybody who I even work with, anybody who I give beats to, anybody who I give a verse to, that person needed that. Like a lot of times when I produce for people, they even tell me like, yo, like I'm not gonna lie, like I've been going through this, that, the third, and I needed some way to compartmentalize and go through that. And I'm like, damn, here I was. Like every time, like it's almost like divine timing. Like I always whoever just needs it, whatever, I come out of nowhere and I just, we cook up. But just to inspire, man, like just like every artist that inspired me when I was coming up. You know what I'm saying? That means if I was to have like a kid hit me, I know how crucial those, when you're in high school and you're just listening to music. Like when you're in high school, that's when you just take in music different. You know what I'm saying? That's when you just kind of, when you're in high school, middle school, taking in music. Like if someone's to hit me up and be like, yo, Wiz, I'm in high school, I've been listening to your shit every day. It's really been getting me through third period or something, like, yo, that would mean the world, bro, because I was there. Like I was there. Like my whole goal is literally just to positively keep the cycle going, do my part. Not the cycle, but the good cycle. It's a whole lot of good shit going on, man, and I feel like a lot of it is getting diluted because everybody's so focused on the negativity of what comes from our art. Mm-hmm. You talk about hip hop, and the first thing people think about is defiling women and killing people and drugs, and it's just like, dude, like that's one side. I'm not even the type of person that's like, we got to get rid of we got to get rid of drill music. We got to get rid of that. There's still going to be people drilling in the world. People need music. You know what I'm saying? Like it's, if someone want to go hit a drill for whatever reason, that needs some music. They need some representation. I'm not about to go do no drill to nothing soft. I need something that give me hype. We just don't need to push that to kids. That's all. Like, we just don't need to push it to kids. But I just want to inspire. That's it. Like, I literally just want to make everybody want to be better. Everybody's music should want to be better again. Like, if someone diss you on a track, make a harder song or something. Don't go to Instagram and go on your story and type a bunch of black screens. Oh, these niggas ain't fucking. Get in the booth. Just stuff like that. Like, just the little nuances. Like, I just feel like everybody just got to get back to wanting to be good again, opposed to just wanting to be seen. Everybody just wants to be seen, but nobody want to be good. Like, I don't know. I just kind of want to get back to that. Like, we gotta mix the medicine with the food, man, and we gotta make sure the next generation is being steered right. The baby boomers ain't do shit, man. They ain't do shit, man. And millennials and everybody else, we just trying, man. I don't be blaming no type of Gen Z, Gen Alpha, millennials. We all trying.
That's right. Yeah, this is my effort I'm an elder millennial, and this is my effort with this platform. And I'm so thankful to have you on this platform, Wiz Kelly, man. You got to come back another time to talk with us, spit that knowledge and that wisdom. Such a wise young brother. So wise. And I appreciate you being here. Hip Hop Scholar fam, y'all check the links below. Y'all check them out. Listen to that music. Check out the tracks. They right here. And definitely, man, this is the Hip Hop Scholar podcast. We out of here. Peace.